do believe we are live. So say indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friend. Thank you for joining us again on another conscious evolution. Skibow. Today we'll talk about being both passenger and pilot. Mr. Merkaba Basic, dude. I don't think I've seen your username before, but love you, Jacob. Love you. It's nice seeing you as well. But dude, look at this. So I'm gonna go straight to my playlist. This was the last thing I listened to on my personal playlist. Merkaba by Jess. This dude is an artist. How about that? I like synchronicities like that. Sending you love. It's nice having you here, Mr. Merkaba. Yeah, Mr. Merkabas. Let's actually dance. It's time to dance. It is a Wednesday, my dude. Yeah, I changed my name. It's perfect. It's perfect. Yo, Wednesday, folks. Hey, Sam. Hey, Joe Bud is here too. Joy Beam, of course. Sending you love it. It's dance time, friends. It's Wednesday. I'm gonna dance my heart out to say thank you. And I'm gonna put my heart back on my chest and try and recover from what I just did to myself. We're gonna move our bodies because we're grateful to be able to move our bodies. So we're gonna gratefully move our bodies to continue moving our bodies gratefully. Where is our greeting, Melty? I did! I did the greeting! I'm pretty sure I did. I did like all of it. Even the conscious evolution part today. Love you all. Gotcha. Get your move on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's dance. Here we go. The fasting is making dancing significantly more difficult. And Pippi is actively trying to destroy my scarf. You silly girl. You silly, silly. You silly, silly. You silly, silly, you silly. You silly, silly. Okay. Let's put this down again. This track has like, I don't know if it's subliminal messaging, maybe just messaging. It's about frequencies. Your thoughts create your reality. Find the frequency or reach the frequency. Same difference, Mr. Merkaba. Keep your thoughts, words, and intentions in check. Yes, Dan and Shell. Love you! Dance time.
Reach the frequency. Reach the frequency.
but still willing. Relax, relax, relax. Scarf whip. This track moves me. Even it's first thing in the morning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get moved. We have one more. One more track left. My body is aware that I'm moving right now. It's letting me know. Get down and grind on passion project kind of music. Yeah, yeah. Exactly. I love you, friends, so much. This is a thank you. Everything you're seeing is like a thank you, right? Every move. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Run the flock around the clock non-stop as Italian, Spanish and the Mexican just got put on the earth, all kind of man. Boom diggy 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 boom diggy bang.
Before Pepe destroys Joey Beef's scarf, I'm gonna put it down for now.
People in the city of New York, I am here today because I fell 62 stories and someone caught me. Someone who never asks for anything in return.
Italian, the Spanish and the Mexican, yes, God put on the earth, all kind of man. Japanese, German and Colombian, Chinese. Italian, the Spanish and the Mexican, yes, God put on the earth, all kind of man. Japanese, German and Colombian, Chinese. Italian, the Spanish and the Mexican, yes. Italian, the Spanish and the Mexican, yes.
think 3 songs should be adequate enough to say thank you. Thank you, Yudi, for being such a gentle spirit. Thank you, Peppy, for being such an ungentle spirit. I need to catch my breath. Oh, Peppy. You know, you make it harder for me to dance, you know? You make it harder for me. You make it even harder for me, you know? Yeah. Okay. Enough shenanigans. Let's get our things. Oh. Put it right there. Let's turn this one off. Back on. Put this one away. Inside this little baggie. This step usually happens before I start streaming, but so it be. Let's do it like this. There we go. Okay. Breath is coming back. Calm is being restored. Energy is being supplemented. My stores are becoming radicalized. Energy is flowing through my body. I'm basically trying to brainwash myself into not being tired. Let me get my thanks. Finishing my coffee. Getting my cup. Getting my cards and my book of things worth saying. Getting a pen. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to join you, friends. A thank you. A thank you to you. I look like a insane person. Solidarity Bard song. You can see this already chatting. There's already love in chat. It's already chat and love. I do believe all of you friends do find yourself solidly situated in the energy of love. I'm a giant flower. Yes, you are. I added some Raven Fresh and Citri Fresh and Raven and Citri Fresh. Smells nice. I've been using Valor for the last few days. Today, something else called to me, and that's the one that came. We use our momentary consciousness to say we are this and not that. How's that for a thing we're saying? Today's stream topic is going to be about being both pilot and passenger. How if we walk onto a plane and we look into the cockpit and we see all of those complicated dials and buttons and screens and measurements, we can be like, oh, happy that I get to just walk past all of this nonsense, go and sit down and kind of trust, right? Accept that someone else is in control. But the thing is, with this human body, you are both pilot and passenger, and you're in for a ride. All of us are a little bit in for a ride. It's gonna be an experience, dear friends. So we might as well make it a good one, right? Pilot ourselves well. Fly alongside people that don't want to see us fall, but actually want to see us reach new heights. So we're gonna talk about just that. What is it like, dear friend? What is it like being the pilot of your life? Loaded question. I'm sorry. It is a lot. I know. Oh, I know. And it doesn't stop, does it? It's just a lot all the time. You trying to pilot yourself while the passenger inside, goes through screaming fits sometimes. Okay. I don't know if my stream is stable. I do hope so. If it's not, excuse me. Bless me eternally. It'll get better. I believe our freaking government is not necessarily blocking, but making it for Starlink to actually become a thing in this country. But soon. Surely soon. Energy. Energy and fuel. Fuel as energy, energy as fuel. Energy to see things change, adding fuel to the fire of that chain. It's like Schrodinger's cat thing, yes. Alive and dead at the same time until observed. This moment. Alive and dead until observed. Right? The only reason you believe you're alive right now is because from your point of observation, you come to that conclusion. But if you're dead, your consciousness is still going to have to observe to notice you being dead before that understanding of being dead is actually going to click. Morbid, I'm sorry. As I said, there's no dying. All right? You can't die. Stop dying right now. Stop it. It's pretty neat. I think I missed a few. So, like, for some reason, the comments get cut off if I come into stream a little bit later. So the first comment I got to see is Joy V saying, yeah, I've heard that before. I don't know what she heard, but she heard something super fascinating, right, Dan? I have too, Joy, but it hit me different way last night. I wish I knew. I had put the math pieces together in my head, but never connected to the spiritual piece. Really wild. Oh, my curiosity is eating me alive. Dude, Dan, you were walking the path, and the people walking towards you, and the shadows and the sun too. Hope. Hope. If we're going to be both passenger and plane, all of us would like to hope, right, that we're going to find ourselves in a place that is ideal to be. Right? As passengers, we would like to get off the plane and arrive at our destination. As pilots, we would like to do our jobs well and fly this plane that is the human body adequately. And it is hard. Timothy, there he is. I'm so full of love today for everything. Yeah, yeah, be full of love for everything, dude. Yeah, yeah, more, go more. So let's think fullness. I should really get even more familiar with all of the freaking Nordic runes. I don't know which rune means fullness, but I'm gonna add the feminine rune for a fullness. More. Yes, yes, Timothy. That's a scary proposition for a passenger, right? It is a little bit, right? And yet that's what we all are. We get thrusted upon this vehicle, this plane, and we're expected to be pilot and passenger, which is a recollection of math and spirituality. I think you probably shared what you meant, but again, I'm only finding pieces of it. Let me add some of these runes first. We'll do femininity. We'll do abundance. We'll do, I've forgotten what this one means, but I feel like it's what I need right now. We'll do the one that looks like a P. We'll do the one that looks like a B. And then we'll do Isa as well. Those are our runes for today. Okay, let me read comments again. Dan, you're walking the right path. I'm finally being proven how powerful our presence is. Mr. Merkabastic, what was your previous username? I see you have a Macarba that looks like it was cut in stone on your profile picture. But I to be this name, and I can't help but notice triple M's. It's Luke. Oh, it's Luke. MMM, right, Mr. Mick Merkaba. I've been having a thing for double M's, as you might have realized. Swear I can't wait for our next podcast together, bro. I want to melt into you so much, and with detail and back and forth. A part of me wants to make a joke, but I also don't want to get canceled. So I'll let you infer the joke I was gonna make. I love you, Cable. I love you so much, dude. I think there is a feature with YouTube right now. It's been being trial tested for a while now where we can go live together. But the last time me and Brother Gary tried to do it, it would split the screen in half like this, and then it would expect me to have the vertical orientation. And my brain, my OCD was like, oh, hell nah. So I hope that it changed. Would be nice to have you on here as well, dude. I'm finally being proven. Yes, more. So are you, Shell? It's literally right there in the numbers. Mercarbastic. Keep your thoughts and intentions in check. So much love is being shared. Consciousness. And animals too, not just humans. Consciousness in everything. The grass I'm sitting on right now is conscious of me sitting on it right now. It knows. It knows that something is pushing down on us. I don't know what it is, but it's dark. It's dark somehow. Suddenly, this sounds like Harry and Cucumber plants up and down the stairs music. It's supposed to be high energy, right? Like you friends might have noticed, but I tend to be a little bit extreme when it comes to the way I move and the way I do things. So it would be odd if my music was any differently. My eye is twitching a little bit. There's clearly some sort of energy happening in my mind. I did some breathwork exercises today to the point of buzzing. That was kind of nice. Had a good time. I realized he said dance time, not Danstein, as I wrote that. I mean, Danstein, new word. I need this track in my music library. The tracks I danced to today, let's see my phrase, was Vegas, Vinny Vici, Bizarre Contact, Answer from the Stars, Rob Brainstorm remake. Then Distinct Side, Frequency, and then Chemical Noise, Big Boom. I feel that, oh no. Okay. No harm, no foul. I did, however, close my stream. There we go, back again. And no, I didn't lose any more comments. Dan, my brain likes it. So much freaking love. Carrying cucumber plants, baby puppy, track got me moving cucumbers, but I'm dig, got my head bobbing, right? But I'm doom. I really like that sound as well. I'm happy that you friends enjoyed it with me. I still feel a little bit flustered. It's probably because in my mind, there is this objective that is rolling a joint. And because my mind is holding on to the piece of Garrick and I'm not actually doing the thing, it feels like there's some sort of loss happening. And then because I feel that sense of loss, it kind of interrupts my train of thought. And then I'm like, I should be doing something. So I'm just gonna do it, do like grunt work. If the inside is hope, I'm gonna do future, right? Hope for our future. Hope for the future. That if we're gonna be both pilot and passenger, we better have hope for the future. Right? Think about it. If you're gonna get on a plane and you have absolutely no hope for any future, you're gonna be a lot more likely to fly that plane into the ground, right? right? We don't want that, do we? No siree, get that bhutan. I'm becoming a powerful bot dance the dumb biggie old nations. So much freaking love. Two dogs, Melt Animal Crew always increasing. That dog has been around. Yudi has been around longer. Like literally 6 years longer than Pippi has. He's just so unassuming. We call him UD, underdog, literally underdog, because he's so unassuming. He's like the most hippie, chill dude ever, right? He doesn't take things for granted. Is super grateful for whatever attention he gets. He's not assuming. He's not mean. He's such a kind soul. And unfortunately, because he's such a kind soul, he was not accepted at first into our household. But he's established himself properly as a part of the family. It's kind of interesting. Ich hab kein Lust. What do you say? That reads I'm horny in my mind. I don't know German, but that reads I'm horny. Superhuman doing back-breaking work at breakneck speeds. We just need to get a full body brace for safety. I actually want a full body brace. Mel, share today's tracks, pretty please. Let me do that for you, Shan. Boom. Man. Badoom, badoom. Track one sent. Badoom. I do believe my whole profile is available with all of my like tracks there as well. So if you friends do want all of my music, I should probably set up my link tree on my YouTube channel as well. I should probably take all of this a lot more seriously than I do. You know, maybe if I took it seriously, there would be actual, there'd be actual, exponential growth. But I just cannot be bothered to follow the rules. I guess that's the one, right? To be told what to do. We'll do a whole stream on that topic as well. The fact that from a young age, we get told what to do, right? You get told to go to school. You get told what to do at school. You get told what you're going to do after school. So you have to do school so you can do that thing after school. And you go to school again and then you get told what to do. Tim Reeve, it's nice seeing you again. I guess that's still Timothy, but you changed your username to just Tim. And I think you changed your profile pic as well. Double love and see you still. But we don't get told what to do when we're adults, right? You suddenly become the person who needs to tell you what to do. You have to be the pilot. And unfortunately, for a long time, we just consider ourselves passengers. Just passengers. Just people here for a ride, not realizing we're the one flying the plane. And that's a little bit concerning, right? If you notice the pilot just chilling on one of the first class seats, and you're like, hey, aren't you the pilot? And he's like, yeah. And you're like, is someone else flying the plane? And he looks at you and he's like, someone needs to fly the plane? Suddenly extreme concern. Absolutely extreme concern. Melt Druid, me as Bard. Hey Google, define what a druid is. No, I wonder what a true is. Oh, druid, there we go. Druid. A druid is a member of a high-ranking priestly class in ancient Celtic cultures. That is like the least proper definition ever. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT instead. Get wrecked, Google. I'm sorry, Google. I don't mean to be mean. I just wish you were better. Hey, ChatGPT, can you tell me what a druid is? Tell me what a druid is. Let's. Oh my goodness. My session expired. Now I have to log in again. Oh, the first world problems. Oh, I have to press buttons in order to access artificial intelligence. Oh, my meat sticks. The interfacing is so slow. I could have had this question answered 5 times over at this point. Just keep using my little sticks. Come on, come on, come on. Shaman. This is the impatience I have to deal with. I'm better than both Google and ChatGPT. Please tell me what a druid is. I'm triggered again. Druid. Druid. Let's see what the ChatGPT says. I believe you, Keval. I believe you know. Oh, I 100% believe, but you have like a limited amount of text that you can send. I don't know if that limited amount of text is going to be enough for you to actually give me a proper answer. And it seems like I'm stalling right now because ChatGPT isn't giving me an answer either. It's just being like, um, there we go. A druid is a member of ancient Celtic priesthood who acts as priests, teachers, judges, and philosophers. They were responsible for preserving and passing on traditions, belief, and knowledge of their culture. Druids were highly respected and played an important role in Celtic society. The specific beliefs and practices of the Druid are not well documented, and much of what is known about them comes from from accounts written by Greek and Roman historians. Druids were known to perform religious ceremonies and sacrifices, and they were believed to have the ability to communicate with the spirits of nature and the ancestors. Today, the term Druid is something used to refer to modern practitioners of spiritual and the religious path that draws inspiration from ancient Celtic culture and beliefs. The modern Druidry is often associated with a reverence for nature, a belief in the interconnectedness of all things, and a focus on personal spiritual growth and development. Would you look at that? Maybe I am a druid. Maybe I am a druid. Thank you, Keval. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to consider, right? To consider. For me, the only thing that really sold the whole druid thing, I don't really follow Celtic culture because I don't know anything about Celtic culture, but just the interconnectedness of all things, right? Self-improvement, loving thyself. This I believe is the only way to proper saving of this world, right? That if we manage to financially, societally save this world and we still don't love one another or ourselves, what's the point? What is the point, right? If all of us are going to be like super well off, super wealthy, super taken care of, but we absolutely hate it. We fucking hate it. That doesn't sound like a vibe to me. I'm in the energy of love for pickles. I've weirdly enough been thinking about pickles as well. I've been craving. Okay, so I saw this post of which is your favorite Pringles flavor, and there was one flavor that was called dill pickle, and I was curious what dill pickle flavored Pringles would taste like. So I don't know, synchronicity, I guess, small synchronicities, but still. There was once a hero named Ragnar the Red, who came riding to Whiterun from old Rocky Stread. Are you singing a song right now? We are this, but not this. I am life and death. Yes. You are literally the pinnacle. You are that point of the living and the dying, right? The Grateful Dead. As some of our previous teachers have said before as well. Can't stay and play. Oh, Joe Schmo will see you again, but I adore you all. Tell each other, tell each of us to take the time to seek and find the obvious, as well as the hidden blessings that are inevitable surrounding each and every one of us. With that in mind, how could we not find your blessings? I love Citri Fresh for a good mood boost and energy. I guess I needed it for that exact reason. Thank you for letting me know. I didn't feel low mood. I took a Concerta today as well. So technically, there's a part of me that is operating differently. There is more dopamine in my brain right now. Day 4 is usually the hardest for me when it comes to fasting. So I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the fact that I'm fasting. But I am also feeling really clear. Like almost dangerously so. Like I'm not supposed to be this clear. So stuck in the fog, right? As a pilot flying through the clouds. And now suddenly it's open skies. I see Joy V sending some wisdom in the chat. I'm gonna get to it now. Friends, I want to share a grow I did. I told Kev about it yesterday, but today I have Sequale, and it's good stuff. No axe above my head when I woke up. No fear. I have no idea what Sequale is. Today I had Sequale. Maybe it's a type of it's the substance? Sequale. Sequ- My brain's getting melted. Shell, please teach me more. Oh, I love being both pilot and passenger. Yeah. Sometimes we have to surrender as a passenger to the pilot. Sometimes we have to surrender as a pilot to the passenger, right? The pilot doesn't get to necessarily choose where he goes, but he has to make sure he stays on course as he goes there. The passenger might not have control over how the plane is flown, but still has the want to be somewhere, right? And these two parts of us work together to make this experience right now. Hope for the future. You have hope for the future, friend? Okay. Well, at the very least, at least we don't have to experience it alone. We don't have to experience it alone. We're not made to be alone. We're getting better at it. And I do believe there is importance in getting good at being alone. But we're not meant to be. Right? And unfortunately, in today's theme, all of us happen to be pilot and passenger. And in that way, our goals can differ. The way we believe the plane is supposed to be flown can differ. The place we believe we're supposed to go can differ. And that can cause dissonance, can make us feel like we're working against each other sometimes. Pilot role can be very risky, but also very rewarding. It's true. My life is being piloted by Tunks, the driving cat. Like what I'm imagining right now is there is this entity, right? Larger dimensional entity called Tunks, the driving cat. And it's just using Joy Veep's body as a vessel right now. Joy Veep is like, yep, that's exactly what's happening. The more we talk about planes, the less I fear them. Plane, 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 planes, planes. Passenger, you must give it to you are not in control, and the life of everyone is not your responsibility. Exactly. It is a lot. You want me to call you Merkaba, Mr. Merkaba? Mr. McMarkaba? Merkaba. Luke. Okay, let me move on. Otherwise, I'm gonna get stuck in a loop. Also, you can call me Tim. Tim, it is, dear friend. Timothy is still a beautiful name. Either way, pilot has a responsibility to the passengers. Exactly. What do you think of my interpretation of it also being this trip of, yes, you have this responsibility toward your passengers, but it's also almost like you have to suspend your own wants as that pilot so that you can see something done. Melt the math comment you missed. At a quantum level, measurements are only true when perceived. This means that consciousness is the fundamental and everything exists because of it. Yep. This is pretty much what our modern science is coming to. Connor, there he is. You've been summoned, dear friend. Our modern science is coming to the conclusion that there is clearly consciousness as base reality, and everything arises from that consciousness. Right? And it's almost like we've been saying that literally since day one on these streams. And I think the scientific understanding of this is already probably clear by the time we started. But now it's just going to gain more and more clarity, momentum for our understanding of what it is we're doing here. And that's a scary proposition for a passenger. It's true. Peppy, what are you barking at? Like I'm a part of me is irritable because I'm hungry. And it's like doesn't understand why she always needs to be so dramatic. Why are you so dramatic, Peppy? You know those people. Those are our peoples. You know them, which is the reconciliation of math and spirituality. Quantum, right? What quantum means is literally the infinity as infinity, and then when observed, becomes individuality, becomes measurable, becomes finite. Right? That is the base of quantum. Isn't that insane? Isn't that like absurd? And yet there is this understanding that you are facilitating this reality through a quantum lens. You're like, the fuck are you talking about, Mel? So think about it as a observer, right? You, as an observer, see something. And then upon witnessing that thing, a one or a zero is observed, right? You are in that open state of ones and zeros, infinitely fluxing between each other, right? The infinity being created in your mind. And then as soon as you observe something, it gives you a quantum one or a zero. And then that quantum one or a zero becomes an observation in your mind. And then it starts the fractal, where it gives you from that one or zero another vector where it goes again one or zero. And then depending on the one or zero that you choose, you can find yourself in another vector. And then it creates this in your mind. You are a quantum computer, a fractal generator, creating something out of mostly nothing, right? Sure, we see only Earth looking around ourselves. But if you think about it from the perspective of what is there more of? There is a lot more nothing than there is something. In fact, if we're gonna think about dark matter as the type of energy, as a type of nothing, right? Because we cannot see it, there is there is even more nothing than the nothing we think there's nothing of, and yet we have experience of something. I've been in a weird state these days where I find myself in these moments where I start to think about the fact that we are humaning right now. And I think about the fact that we have cars driving on roads, we have planes flying through the air, we have people building buildings, we have women in labor bringing new life into this world, we have a person, feeling good about themselves for throwing a dart into a little red circle, right? And there is this sense of kind of dissociation where I'm like, the fuck is happening? What the hell is happening right now, right? And then I have to realize, oh yeah, you are, right? Instead of trying to articulate to yourself what you are, you should articulate to yourself that you are on a fundamental level. You are. And then from that beingness, you have to choose where you want to go, because wherever you go, there you will be, right? As a passenger, so that you can see. There is no escaping. There is no escaping. Not even death is an thing that you are. Your artness, your beingness itself. And that beingness itself exists in a quantum state, right? Like goodness, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. For instance, the double slit experiment. Some of your friends will know this. Some of your friends might have heard this conversation into exhaustion. But the double slit experiment is basically where they indicate that light molecules are conscious of you observing them. Again, in this quantum state of being able to be anywhere at the same time, right? You can be anywhere at the same time if you are not observed. But then as soon as you open your eyes and you observe your life, coop, you are convinced that that is what you are. That becomes your state. That becomes your one out of the infinity. And it's the same thing for those individual light molecules, where as soon as you look at them, they decide to go one direction or another. And depending on the direction they decide to go, it is indicated on the other side where they went. Right? Like the light molecules are aware. There are aware little beings floating between my fingers right now. Being transmitted into the camera, coming through to you. Code for you. So much love is being shared. Kristen, I'm seeing your name in the new chat, but I'm still in the old one technically. I'm trying to catch up, but I'm not doing well. But swear, can't wait for the next podcast together, bro. I love you. I love you so much, Keval. I want to actually just test if the new way of streaming is the way I want it to be. And then I'm thinking, I'm probably not going to have the best audio, like this audio, but I might be able to use my Bluetooth earphones because I don't know. Yeah, yeah. Like using my Bluetooth earphones, your voice will come through my ears, and then my microphones will probably be used to be projected back to you, and then it won't be loud, so there won't be like double feeding into the microphones of your voice. So it's just a matter of figuring it out, and then it's probably going to be the same thing for your side. I love Rammstein. My dad opened a fortune cookie yesterday, and it said, "You will pass a very difficult test," and his pilot's exam is coming up soon. Stop it. You stop that right now. Stop. My brain that is not prepared for that level of melting. That's a little bit trippy, Zano. Oh goodness. That's so crazy. More synchronicity. Your dad's gonna fly planes to sync today, right? So I don't know if you were in yoga today. No, you weren't. But Loazana, as I was introducing during the yoga, this idea of being both pilot and passenger, a plane flew over her house and she could see it out of her window that she was standing next to starting to practice yoga as I was talking about pilot and passenger. And now you as well. Oh, thank you, Zano, for sharing that. It's so freaking cool. I got a fortune once. It said 87% of statistics are made up. I like that. I really like that. I actually do that sometimes to people when they give me some sort of statistic. I give them that one. And I feel because we can do it in this moment, like 87% of them don't get what I'm saying. They just agree. They're like, yep. And then I look at them and I'm like, do you understand what I just did? Did you see? Nothing wrong with that. No, of course, me doing my thing. Yes, sir. But we do in some ways. We try to. It's a very good point, Mal. I love you, friends. Druid is a magic user of nature-based variety. Druid King. Get wrecked, Christian. I'm Druid King. Oh, I don't have to be Wizard King. We are conditioned over many years of what to do and what not to do, right? Like some things are right, some things are wrong. Loving a person that is not your gender, yeah, that's wrong. Can only love one type of person. And then that creates, again, this brain damage in our society where love is something intrinsically sexualized, right? We think of love as something that has to be primarily romantic. When love, I've been trying to articulate to myself as we do these streams, because language is what the words mean to us, not what the words mean, right? Think about that. So love means to me, because of these streams and because of the way we articulate it, love means to show up, right? Love means to give your focus and presence to another. Love means that no matter how much suffering, there is endurance, right? That's what love means. And then finally, love is the ability for unity, right? This one experience we're having, and multiplicity. Me having the experience of myself and you having the experience of yourself, and us having this experience of self together, multiplicity and unity at the same time. And once we try to articulate to ourselves what love means in that way, I believe it becomes a little bit easier to love others, right? Because you don't have to put your face and tongue inside someone else's face and tongue in order to show them that you love them. You can just give them your focus and presence. You can just show up for them, right? That's really how easy it is. And it's almost like we're teaching ourselves how to do that in this space. All of you friends teach me every day. are taught by me every day. The things I tell you brings up a teachable moment from you. You teach me again. I get taught. I try to articulate what you just taught me to myself. You have this very consciously evolving how to act, how to dress, yeah, everything. Literally, your whole life is tried to set up for you, told what to do. You know, literally to the points, to your death. You are told what to do up until you die, right? Up until you have to set up a will, and you have to, make sure all of these things happen. And druid is someone who uses based magic, nature-based magic. Oh yes, poison ivy was a druid. Makes me love her even more. I'm happy to do just about anything until it is demanded. Then I cannot, right? That is how it is for me too, dude. Like I'm happy to do things. In fact, if the want to do something arises from the depth of my heart, I do it every single time. But if there is an element of being told, right, being forced is another way, right? A kind of, and this might be triggering, rape of my consciousness, right? Coercing of another person, ripping my pilot out of his seat, and then putting themselves into my pilot's seat, and then trying to fly my plane for me. My passenger loses his mind. He's like, "Oh hell no, no, no!" And then I have to be like, "Relax, oh." I know, Connor. I know, and I know that part about you. And then I still, reach out and I'm like, "Hello, my name is Connor." So that you can feel that visceral, so that you can take that control for yourself, right? It shouldn't be just as a passenger standing there and screaming. It should be as a passenger and realizing you are the pilot, taking back your control. Oh, I think the car is getting washed. They live in swamps and in other close to nature spaces. This space is pretty close to nature, but it feels like such a different nature to what we would consider nature when it comes to the way it's depicted in our minds, right? At least in my mind, when I think nature, I think overgrowth, right? Like tree canopies, moss and mushrooms. Hello, Ma. You wanna show our friends how beautiful you look? There we go. Mom's outfit. Also rocking the flowers. Flowers and silver and gems. Even the earrings.
So antique.
Very nice. We're talking today about you as a body and how you have to be both pilot and passenger. And the responsibility that comes along with that. How in this world we've been told what to do our whole lives, right? And then we find ourselves as adults and then we don't know where to fly. Oh, okay. Getting to share some love with the mom. Woohoo, there we go. Thank you. Mensen stierliefde, mama. Mensen stierliefde. Our people are sending love. Druids can communicate with trees and nature. They can transform into animals. Can tell people that stuff. Pippi is flying after mom. She loves everyone. She's very jealous though, but she does love everyone. Train those bad boys. These meat sticks. Like my meat sticks work fine, right? Like I have very fine articulation. I just prefer not to have to use them when it comes to my technology. I believe the bandwidth thing is the biggest thing that irks me, right? The speed at which I process information and at which I consider exponentially outweighs the speed at which I can communicate with my face or move my fingers. And it trips me out sometimes, makes me feel stupid, makes the version of me that sees the pilot think this passenger is stupid. And that's mean. I shouldn't do that. My word choice is so apt. Yes, ChatGPT sings my praises of how apt my word choices was. Of course, the Ant-Man connection, even with limited word count. Love is true. There's a sandwich chain in the US that created a pickle sandwich with pickles as the bread. What? I'm imagining comically large pickles sliced in discs as like buns, but my brain is like pickles. That's not a pickle, dude. I was flipping through YouTube shorts last night, and there was some dude claiming he does dry fasting for up to a month. No food, no water. He said he got water from breathing. That's some bullshit. I'm sorry to say that, but I cannot condone that as a thing. I've been drinking chicken broth. No, actually, today was beef broth. I've been taking primrose seed oil. I've been taking fish oil. I take a multivitamin and then 35 milligrams niacin. And then with my broth, I add a teaspoon of salt. And that's pretty much, and then water, of course. But no, no, please. If you're gonna fast, make sure you get your nutrients, especially sodium. That's going to be the first one you'll notice. When you stop eating food, you also stop eating salt. And you need salt because your neurons fire using salt, your muscles contract using salt. Don't unsalt yourself, please. Dangerous lies for the weak minded. Your body shuts down after 4 days without water. Yeah, 7 days at most. Don't not drink water, friends, please. You're 70% it. Then again, yeah, I agree. I never bothered to fully understand what a druid was when it was said, yo. Now I really want to. I'm happy that I could at least, create some breatharian. I've heard about those individuals as well. I just don't believe it. I'm sorry, right? I do breath work as well. And I have this buzzing feeling in my whole body down to my fingertips, right? Buzzing, like energy. That's how it feels. But I still drink water afterwards. And I still, Pepe, She's licking the ground and it's making disgusting sound. Please, 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 doggers. Okay, yeah. If someone wants to claim to be a breatharian, I would probably lock them in a box, give them a glass of water, and then if I see that glass of water disappear, I'm like, yeah, Pepe, please, dogger. I'm irritable. I am irritable. Hearing sounds and stuff, it still doesn't really sit well with me. Like the fasting does create like a hyper alertness in your mind where sounds can become very, I want to almost call it personal, right? Like seriously, today while I was writing, Pippi does this thing where she chews on her own feet, and then it's like that sound of, and then I'm like writing, and I turn around, and I look at her. I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then she stops, and then I turn back around and I write further, and then the sound comes back, and then I whip, I like look back at her, and then there's silence again, and then that second time, going back to my writing, there was no sounds. Oh goodness. At least I get to be aware of it. I haven't let it get the best of me, but it still is noticeable, right? It makes me feel like my passenger is throwing tantrums a lot more easily, even though my pilot knows what he's doing and where he's going. They were liars, Mr. Mick yeeting cheeseburgers down their gullets with no one was looking. Yeah. Okay, so common Canadian chip flavors are ketchup, barbecue, all dressed vinegar, salt and vinegar, dill pickle, sour cream and onion. I've never had the dill pickle flavor, but I think I might have had all of the rest. I don't think I've had the ketchup flavor though either. Mel, please ask ChatGPT to teach you the word sequale. I'm gonna have to copy that one. Actually, I don't have to. I can just remember it. Sequale. What is sequale? See, Siaqualea. Sia- There we go. I'm sorry. Sia. Sia. Si. si- Let's see. Now it's just a game of patience. I have been thinking about paying for this service. I probably should. I should probably just bite the bullet. But it's $20 a month, yo. That's like 10% of what I earn right now. A little bit more than that. It's being like, I don't have no idea what you're talking about, it says to me. SEQUE. Let's try that again, maybe. SEQUELAE. Just thinking about it, it's being like, oh, what the fuck does this mean? What is this person trying to say? Yeah, the irritability is being felt right now. There we go. Sequelae, as long-term consequences or outcomes that result from a disease, injury, or other medical condition. These can include physical, psychological, or cognitive impairments that persist after the original injury and illness that has been treated or resolved. For example, some common sequelae of traumatic brain injuries might include memory loss, difficulty of concentration, or emotional disturbances. Similarly, sequelae of a viral infection like COVID-19 can include respiratory complications, neurological symptoms, and fatigue that persists long after the acute phases of the illness has passed. Very interesting. Now I'll know. Sequelae is the effect, usually postpartum, to being sick or having had some sort of condition, experience trauma, and then the effects thereof. Thank you for letting me find out. I appreciate that, Shell. I shouldn't have used the word sequelae. It doesn't mean consequences, but negative consequences. Yeah, technically, the definition is negative consequences specifically. I need to find another word. Consequences isn't a negative word, right? Consequences can be a good word. You can use the word manifestation. I like that one actually. That's the one I use more often than not. Like I'll say I've been exercising and it's been manifesting as more energy, right? Instead of less, for example. I was intrigued until I witnessed that. Love is true. Melt on SSRI. I don't think it's SSRI. It's more an extra little bit of dopamine, I believe. I think it's more on the stimulant side than it is an SSRI. Smoking all J. My SO won't touch me with a 10-foot pole when I smoke. And he's on his meds. Things mixing the two will stop his heart. I'm like, no, yo, chill. Yeah. There is, unfortunately, a lot of concern. Oh, is that a gobbledygoo joining us too? There was a kitty for a moment, and then I was almost screaming, and it was like, "Ah!" It's nice having you, Gab. Gabbis. Ye ski bibble bop. I'm busy, but I love you. Schwarm slido gloom. I agree. I confer. Yes, indeed. Who dared summon me? Wow, the opposite of sequelae is a primary disease. I should have just many positive outcomes. Manifestation, right? The manifestation of your actions, the consequences of your actions. Consequences can be good, right? For instance, the consequence of me seeing these two little animals at the time of their lives is me being able to share it with you as well. Let me read some comments. Getting high is catching. Don't you know? I believe getting high can be pretty much just a psychological understanding of what it is we're here to do, right? You can look at that moon. You can get high simply by showing up for love, all right? And now suddenly the experience of love happens to be true in your life. And that is a high experience, right? An experience that would be a high when it comes to if you were a pilot and you were to go up into the stratosphere, that would be pretty high of you, wouldn't it? You're so high. Let me zoom out a little bit, maybe. Not that much. Eventually, we'll have crystal clear qualities. Yes, so crystals and so clears. Mm-mm-mm. How does he believe that something you did will have an impact on him? Has his doctor not explained how the bodies work? Yeah, there's a lot that's unexplained about how our bodies work, unfortunately, right? That as these pilots, it's still very much like there is this whole slew of buttons that we don't actually know what happens when we press them. Sure, there are grays. My lord, has been a minute since they've seen those marijuana scare headlines. I almost forgot how much damage they did. People have been unironically brain damaged by misinterpretation. It really is unfortunate. I love how Kitty is just watching these two shenanigan animals have the time of their lives. Kitty's being like, huh, I wonder what's happening here now. Just gently watches them. It's pretty good entertainment. I'm also entertained. I'm actually like getting distracted. I'm not reading comments properly. Sure, there are grays, but when it comes right down to it, at its core, beneath every choice, there's either a 1 or a 0. You either do something or you don't. You either show up for love or you don't. Right? It really is that simple. You're right, Connor. It sucks that we make it that simple because we like to overcomplicate things, but usually it's not. Kristen is joining us too. Thinking of you from the work conference. We love you, Kristen. Happy to know that you're safe at your work conference as well. Thinking about you too right now. I overcame my fear of reporting my coworker who has been mistreating me badly for months. Baby Shell was expecting to be punished. Adult Shell, not punished, but instead supported by her boss. There we go. Being shown that it is okay to not be happy with how you've been treated. Wanting to see change. Wanting to see change doesn't mean you are, fundamentally unhappy. It just means that you have accepted the reality and now you want to see it differently. Doesn't make you evil, makes you human, makes you the pilot of your situation. I know, Sam, I know. I love how resilient the body is, but he doesn't like to hear me out. Once the smoke dissipates, he'll ease up, but he can tend to be fear and overthinking incarnate. Yeah, fear and overthinkers incarnate are really good consumers as well. It's no surprise that we find ourselves in a world that's set up that way. Be sure to document, write things down. Yeah, exactly. So much love. I have a huge throat. Okay, I'm gonna switch us back. I believe that the dog we're playing is out of frame anyway. No more sun in the background. I have returned to tell you to have a wonderful day filled with inner peace and calm. Melt, you best check out the Bird Island job in the information section for information on Discord. The Bird Island job in the information section for information on Discord. Perfect. Bird Island job. Are you suggesting I get a job on a bird island? Don't tempt me with a good time, dude. I could get paid to spend time around birds. Sounds like a vibe. Great job, Shell. It's difficult confronting situations. So good on you. Exactly. Showing up for what we know is true. Love. I used to think I needed to reserve the word love for family and one other person, but now it must be for the whole of everything. Exactly, right? Like love should be the way you show up. That you should show up with deep presence and focus for everything, for your coffee, for the food you eat, for just the way you breathe. Be loving towards everything. Beautifully said, Mr. Merkaba. Thought so, love is true, nature, but not wilderness. Exactly, Milk Mom. Thank you for sending some love. And Connor sits in the lawyer office, ready to hear the will. They pop in a tape. and it's me on screen like Jigsaw. Connor, are you ready to become the ducks? You have to upload your consciousness to the ducks. And then there's an elaborate maze that is duck sized, that only ducks can fit through. And then you have to survive this elaborate maze. And then you have to unload your consciousness from the duck back to your human body. And only then can you earn all of the financial wealth I have acquired. sounds 50% nightmare, 50% fever dream. Don't be too hard on your bandwidth. It's true. I'm trying to be it better. Statistically speaking, aren't we 87% water? No, it's closer to in the 70s, I believe. Nia, over plafons. Irritability. Okay, I'm noticing it. I'm noticing it. Yes, spicy melty, a little bit, just like like a slither of spice. You know, not rage, but intolerance, like some intolerance that's happening. I'm not complete with the official Shansky 11. How interesting. When I started doing the 2-day fast, 2-day non fast, I asked my practitioner for some advice on how to do it. She told me only a pinch of salt in a glass of water. That is technically what's most important, right? When it comes to that feeling of weakness, when you don't, when you go like through a period of being very insulin depleted, and that's not a bad thing. Being insulin depleted is actually great for your body. It also comes with the caveat of keeping less of the salt that you've stored. So yeah, get salt. If you're gonna fast, make sure you get enough salt. Put her out of earshot with a lick mat and peanut butter on it. Help her get the licks out. Yeah, no, she's fine. It's temporary. And I have been speaking my mind, and they do tend to listen sometimes. Do her feetsies smell like popcorn chips? She might have a yeast infection. Pippi, that is. Yeah, they actually do smell like corn chips. How do I help her with that then? I can like maybe use some tea tree oil on her little feetsies. That could be one way. Statistically speaking, don't we only have to drink water when the Earth's orbit is 87% away from the sun? I feel like reading those words gave me mild brain damage. I made sure to pay attention today, Tuner. So much love. I put her out of earshot of a Ligma. Thank you again for the love. Mangoes, feet always smell like Doritos. Yeah, same for Pippi. Smell like knickknacks. That's the word I use. Susanna, it's like a yeast, like bacteria and doggy paws. Tango smells like corn chips too. All of our dogs happen to have the knick-knack feet. How about that? I heard it on the internet and it's a statistic, so I have to believe it's fact. Oh, it's so freaking hilarious. Give her baths regular and keep her feet dry. She's just moldy mango. My Pippi doesn't have like that much hair underneath her feet. And I think all of the moisture that she gets underneath is probably like in the mornings when she runs on the grass, if anything. It's totally harmless, Zano, unless it gets out of control, which is very, very visible. Yeah, fortunately, I've not seen anything. Wipe it away with cider vinegar. A stimulant? Technically, yes. Technically a stimulant. Gives you more dopamine, tells your brain, yeah, 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 good, with whatever you're experiencing. For instance, that helps if you're studying, because as you're experiencing the words that you're studying, your brain is going, yeah, good, yeah, good, yeah. Or if you're working, writing something, etc., etc. I've told you, friends, about this little bottle of medication I got last year, January, and I have one left now. So I've used 29 over the period of a year and like 4 months. Not condoning it, but liking to believe that I have some balance. Technically, I've done that more than I've done psychedelics in that case. Interesting. Something to consider. Am I less for it? No. Am I hopeful for the future? Yes. I am, in fact, hopeful for the future. knowing that we human beings are very resilient. If we can be mindful with what we do, with how these things and doing them and like changes our experience, I do believe that the stimulant can technically add as an irritant as well, technically, because it stimulates the part of me that is hyper aware as well, right? So hearing licking sounds included. Mm, 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 mm. I've done that before. When a bit of brown crusty started happening, I dipped them in cider vinegar. I actually regularly check all of our dogs' feet. I make sure that there's nothing, like usually it's ticks between their toesies, and then I check between the little gap between their pad and their, toe pads as well. The amount of shenanigans is happening. Let me show you the clouds. The moon peeking over it as well makes me happy. Mm, mm, Seems when I delete my messages, it doesn't work on melt send. Now I'm feeling bad for giving into my triggeredness and not being loving. No more take backsies. You were triggered, Jovan? I didn't notice any trigger. At least, from what I've seen. Pretty mama. Maybe it did disappear on my side. After all, it's okay for you to be triggered. Oh, maybe you're talking about the conversation with your loved one, right? Also not something unworthy of being shared. I feel like it's a beautiful point in the nature of where we are right now. We find ourselves in a time where there is, again, right, a lot of people telling us differently, telling us that we're supposed to be experiencing things one way, piloting for us. And then as the passenger, so terrified, will run up to the pilot and be like, no, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. So let yourself feel things, right? Let the pilot take us where it may. I feel like the information that arises in this stream is a direct result of everything that we choose to share with one another, right? Literally everything. Presence in this moment is love, finances, as you friends have, words from your experience, all of it valuable. All of it valuable. The way we apply value to this world can be pretty derogatory as well. But remember, okay. Sending you lovins. It's nice having you here, friend. No take backsies. No take backsies. Say the things that need to be said. Say the things that's resonating in your heart right now. Right? Being a little bit triggered, being a little bit irritable doesn't make you less worthy of love. And I feel I'm trying to teach myself that lesson as well. Right? As the pilot, being able to fly the plane and be a little bit more dodgy, right? I'm thinking of it like being dodgy, as in you're literally dodging things, maybe flying closer towards them. Doesn't make you a bad pilot. It just means that you're being hyper vigilant in that moment. I do pride myself on piloting my plane chillaxly. Ah, yes, we're gonna be in cruising altitude, no turbulence. We're gonna be serving food soon. Just chillax. And then sometimes pilot starts screaming on the phone, ah, we're gonna die, we're gonna, oh sorry, it's just turbulence, don't worry. It's just turbulence. Well, just a little bit of wackiness in the world. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Pippi gets a point. Is she winning? Doing all of the tackles? Joe, this place would lose its magic if you were not fully yourself with us. Exactly. All of us are here as ourselves, right? I articulated this almost conversation, and it is a little bit egotistical, right? I imagine myself growing as a person and then having a conversation with someone who admires me, and then them articulating to me they want to be like me. And then my answer to that being, please don't, right? If you're like me, I'm gonna have to be like you or something. And I don't have any practice. I don't have practice being you. All I have practice is being me, right? So please don't be me. Please don't. Oh goodness, my comments just disappeared. Come back, please. There we go. All of us are supposed to be ourselves. It's the person you have the most practice with, right? Doesn't mean you can't change. Doesn't mean as the pilot and as the passenger you can course correct. But it does mean you're going to experience your journey from the perspective of having course corrected. And I do believe my life is a perspective of having course corrected. My teens was very nihilistic, right? I grew up in a Orthodox Christian community. My entire school was indoctrined from a young age, literally from as young of a grade as we were to the end of high school. We had an actual period, right? So 45 minutes to an hour of our day was dedicated to Bible study every day. And in my mind, that was do nothing time, right? Because what's the point? I told myself at that time. And I would really love challenging these individuals who would like to tell me that they know what the truth is, where they would go through these fractals of guilt, right? And I would go into fractals of nihilism, kind of embracing the void, being like, "Oh, you think you're gonna go to heaven when you die? You're gonna have nothing." Nothing, nothing void. Like when this, in the same way that you have this experience because of neurons, and this is at genuinely my understanding at that point, and I've come to different conclusions having course corrected. Right, when you die, the neurons in your brain stop firing, and then with those neurons no longer firing, so goes your consciousness. Right now, I believe that the neurons firing is basically like their attempt to facilitate this information, and it's almost like tuning into what consciousness is, right? That consciousness is at base, and your brain is but like an extension to that consciousness. Consciousness uses the brain to have the embodied experience, right? That kind of passenger, and you as the pilot, right? The cognitive side of yourself being the pilot, the part of you that has to consider, think, really, take into consideration consequences and then move forward with whatever it chooses to do. And I would just counter them, where I'd be like, yeah, sure, I hear you would love to believe in this heaven thing, but no, you're gonna die. You're gonna die, and then 5 years are gonna pass, and then 500 years are gonna pass, and then 5 billion years are gonna pass, and everything you've ever done, all of your work, all of your beliefs, all of your attempts to build something, it's gonna be dust. It's gonna be dust, it's gonna be nothing. I was so angry. I was so angry because of this want, this almost hubris, right? Hubris, like wanting to assume confidently, arrogantly wanting to assume you know what the truth is in infinity, right? In infinity. And I know I do that too with the whole love is true, but I feel that hubris comes from at least a stable perspective, having spent ample time considering. And then you know, I got super overweight during that time of my life as well, because again, I didn't have power over anything, right? I'm gonna die and then turn to dust. It's inevitable. It's 100% inevitable, and that's my reality. That was the mindset I was in. So I was suicidal, where I was like, I might as well, speed it along. What's the point in waiting? And it would come along with these negative thoughts of wishing myself to die catastrophically with a brain tumor, with like crashing the car. I would like purposefully not use the seatbelt. Like that was like my state of mind, where my family would be like, "You have to put your seatbelt on," and I was like, "No. If we crash, I actually want to die." And they didn't like that. Obviously, they were pretty concerned about me. But they also thought that it was a rebellious part of me. Like I was just joking. I was unfortunately not joking. Again, food helped. Food, at least in that nihilistic perspective, allowed me some sense of joy from this world of suffering, right? And I got super overweight. I weighed 220 pounds as a 16-year-old, and I didn't get any happier. Surprise, surprise, doing that to myself, showing myself that I'm not worthy of love day after day. Yeah, you're not worthy of love. And then looking at myself in the mirror and then being like, oh, you're fat, you're not worthy of love. And then eating to not feel that way and then getting more fat. It was destructive. And then I got onto antidepressants because of this depth of depression, gave me night terrors. Those were the SSRI days. Gave me night terrors where I would either wake up in like a puddle of sweat or I would wake up screaming. And sometimes I wouldn't wake up while screaming. I would still be stuck in sleep while screaming. And the worst of it was when I was screaming for so long and for so loud that my parents on the other side of the house was in my room shaking me to wake me up. And I was like, this is not sustainable. So we went to the doctor. And the doctor told me, we've tried the SSRIs. Have you considered smoking weed? He says to me. And my dad almost has a backflip. He laughs thinking the doctor is making a joke. But obviously, when you're in that state of mind where death is an option, right? Death is actually something you consider actively, frequently. Smoking weed isn't that big of a deal, right? So I found weed. Where did I find my first weed? At what they call a taxi rank. So we have taxis, not the traditional taxis you have in America or Europe, but these mini buses that can take like 12 people. And there's like a whole there's like a whole world attached, whole fractal attached to that thing as well. And then because of that whole world, because of the sometimes shady nature of that business, there's also people selling drugs, obviously. And I knew this. I don't know why I knew this. I guess society, all right? So I went there, right? One of the most shady parts of this country you can find yourself in. And I bought marijuana from someone. And I smoked it for the first time. And I slept. I actually slept. And I woke up the next morning not feeling like absolute shit. And I was like, huh. That's possible? So it became a thing. Did it secretly as I could for like 6 months or something. And then I started pushing it. I smoked out of my bathroom window and my dad smelled it. And then I like lock my door and he knocks on my door and he, makes me open it and he comes into my room and he sits on my bed and he tells me, are you smoking weed? And I come clean. I'm completely transparent with him. I tell him about the situation of the doctor and what he said. I tell him that I found it myself. I tell him that I started smoking it and that I can actually sleep well and that it helps. It makes me feel a little bit less aggressive towards my reality, towards myself, makes me kind, at least momentarily, to that part of me that can be so angry. And I needed that more than anything. And that I wasn't going to stop, even if he wants me to leave. And he accepted that was the reality. But he took my weed! He freaking took my weed! He took like, at this point, it's not that much, but like $200 worth of weed that I bought. Because I wanted to, obviously, as the entrepreneur that young Melt was, I wanted to sell edibles. So I bought like these 2 jars of weed, and then that's the night he catches me. And then he takes my jars of weed. And you know what I find out later? I found out he was smoking it. He was unironically smoking the weed he confiscated from me. I accept. But I find myself weed again. I, with this process, actually being able to sleep, realize that there is value in chemical difference, right? So I start researching what else I can do. And then I get into the information around exercise and how exercise releases endorphins, releases dopamine. And I'm like, ah, sick. These things can be done in order to stimulate feeling, right? I just want to feel something. So I start exercising, and testosterone, endorphins, and dopamine feel great. So I became a massive asshole. Even, I mean, not, I became kind in other ways, but I became very self centered, narcissistic, if I'm going to be completely honest, because I realized the amount of control I have as a pilot over my experience as a passenger. And I believed myself to be superior because I had so much control, right? I was like, oh, I was looking around myself and I saw people out of control, people drinking and sleeping with strangers every chance they got. And I was like, you people are crazy. Clearly, I'm the one in control. Oh, goodness. And then that curiosity, that control led me to doing more research. And then I found out about the psychedelic experience, the existence of something called magic mushrooms. And I was like, well, weed didn't scramble my DNA and make me crazy to the point where I go and kill people next to the road. That was my perception of weed when I smoked it for the first time, because that's what we were told growing up. That we'd be told these horrific stories of like people dragging people out of their cars, killing them, and then stealing their cars. And then I would ask my parents, like technically this was my grandma the first time I heard a story like that. I would ask my grandma, how can someone do something like that? And she answers me, they smoke weed. So yeah. And then I was like, well, clearly my family has been lying to me my whole life. Clearly the information that they share with me isn't actually credible. I shouldn't be listening to these people because they don't know what they're talking about. So I started eating mushrooms. And my first mushroom experience overwhelmed me with, again, a feeling, a sense of gratefulness to be alive. And from a depressed, nihilistic, atheistic teenager's perspective, that was life changing. Realizing I have the capacity at my depth as the observer, as the passenger, to be grateful to be alive, changed the way I saw the world, changed the way I saw other people. And yeah, that was 7 years ago, 6 years ago. And it's been an interesting journey since. Many more psychedelic experiences, meeting friends in the same kind of world, getting to have these conversations, getting to watch through their eyes as they talk about their lives, the same experiences they've had and how they've come to the same conclusions I have. Seeing that synchronicity completely showed me the truth of love and the unity in this experience we're having. What are you barking at, Puppy? There's nothing to bark at. Irritability, release. I appreciate the openness of this space so much, and we appreciate you so much too. Thank you for being open in this space with us as well. Love is true. That's what we're doing here. What is service, Cable? What is service level? I think I'm missing comments. Appreciate the openness. To me, I am influenced by those I appreciate. Kind of cat assignment, school is a weird concept after service level. Like, how odd was it that the first time said, yeah, your kid was bad, I'ma just keep them for a certain period of time. Yeah, like failing them. And then the amount of trauma that is associated with that, right? Like, not only telling that kid that they are too stupid to progress, but then also at the same time embarrassing them in front of their entire peer group that they are too stupid to progress with them. And then they find themselves in a class who've had the chance to, since kindergarten, form cliques and form friendships. And those kids know this kid was supposed to be the next grade and now is here again, creating turmoil in that environment as well. It's so freaking toxic. Fortunately, school is going to change. With artificial intelligence, now the teacher is going to be yourself, right? The pilot is going to be you, and the passenger is going to be you. And where you pilot yourself is going to have to be towards what you find most worthy, most loving, most true, right? Become your niche. You are the rarest thing in the universe. If you can become so beautifully yourself, you cannot be replaced. Right? You cannot be replaced because there's only one you. What a crime to progress, to know the truth. Yeah, exactly. For me, it's not the crime to know the truth, but it's a crime to proclaim a truth and then to, from that proclaimed truth, stifle any questions, any further discussion, any further consideration. That's like where I really get a little bit triggered because it feels stupid to me. I'm like, we're gonna stop talking and stop considering the nature of reality because you believe you already have it figured out? No. No. I know. I won't accept that. School is a weird concept, I agree. Picking and choosing what they teach to influence our future just damages us. It limits us. It limits us into a state of mind that is a limited state of mind, right? And then from that limited state of mind, having been conditioned for 12 years of your life, being conditioned to do anything for 12 years is bound to have an effect on you. So being conditioned for 12 years that this is what you do, getting told every single day, this is what you do, this is what you're gonna do today. And then when you go home, you're gonna do this. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna look and make sure you did actually do this thing I told you to do. And then I'm gonna mark you, tally you on a list whether or not you actually did it, right? That conditioning day after day after day for 12 fucking years of our lives. And then we don't understand why coming into the adult world, we don't know what the fuck's going on, what we're supposed to be doing, because nobody is telling us to. So it creates this vector of wanting to be an employee from the perspective of having been conditioned to be so, right? Not saying that it's a bad thing. It's okay to be an employee, but being an employee because you've been conditioned to be so, I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's okay. But that is unfortunately the only path they make available to us. And of the future we're heading into, the possibilities are actually endless. Like actually endless. In other words, every single one of us can be divinely unique when most of what we used to consider stability becomes automated away, right? Like you won't be allowed to make a car when the machines can do it 10 times faster. Sure, you will be allowed to do it in your own garage, but you're not going to be allowed on a factory floor where machines are moving at 10 times the speed that you can even conceive of, right? You're not going to be allowed to do things in that capacity. So you're going to have to become your own pilot. You're going to have to learn how to make decisions for yourself and actually stick to them, to plan and then to show up, right? To be like, as this pilot, this is what I'm going to do. And then even if your passenger isn't all that up for the ride, still doing it, still actually going and doing it, still showing up for what you've actually planned to. And that will change your life radically. That's how we start conditioning ourselves. We start conditioning ourselves, this bodily self, that the part of us that is the pilot is the one in control. Because when hunger arises, the body starts getting loud, right? When pain arises, when you're exercising, it doesn't have to be like joint pain or concerning pain, just the pain of struggling, right? You can still, as this mind, push through. And pain is going to arise in our lives and metaphysical ways as well. And if we aren't tough, if we aren't sure of our ability to actually see things through, how can we hope to? How can we hope to? It's time to come into our powers, to realize we're the ones that are the pilots. Death is always an option. This thought comforts me. Yes, right? Death is an inevitability and also an option, so you might as well be. You might as well actually live. Cannot get that much worse. And the worst case scenario is still coming. So be here. I have been called to service, so I bid you all adieu da. Da mean balaga. Why? Sending you love too. Thank you, Mr. Luke. Mm-mm. I went to public school and it was common to not be baptized. But my partner went to Catholic school, also not baptized. And not only was it not common, but he was ostracized for it. Of course he was, because he was not normal. He was not conforming to the status quo. He wasn't being like us. Oh, you're not like us? That must mean you're not like us. So that gives us a vector to treat you like you're not one of us. You other, you other. Spit some ground in front of you. They let an unbaptized kid into Catholic school. I thought it was a requirement on the list of things you need to be able to do. You know, can read, can speak properly, can socialize, can baptize. I thought I had the same issues with SSRIs, stopped using them. I smoked weed my first time with my older brother, and since then, life has been flowering like a river instead of flood/drought, right? Weed helps. It can be treated as a medicine. And I feel the best way to treat it as a medicine is to do it with intention. That's why we spend time writing these little messages. Hope for our future is why we're smoking this joint today. When you do anything with intention, it becomes medicine. Even just living your life. Right? Living your life intentionally, with purpose. With purpose. And it's hard. It is hard to know what our purpose is supposed to be. Your purpose is to be loving. Find a way to serve. Find a way to remember. Find a way to love. That's our purpose. To love, to serve, to remember. And if you can figure out how to do those things, you're going to be scot-free. Life is going to flow like a river, as Mononoke beautifully said. This is the funniest shit. Dad smoked your confiscated weed. Of course he did. Like a part of me is like, of course my dad smoked my weed that he confiscated. Of course he would do something. Kind of like that part of me that wants to be angry and negative and gives me more reason to be angry at my dad. But the other part of me that know I'm him. The thing is, my dad doesn't know where to get weed. My dad isn't going to venture into a freaking taxi rank to buy marijuana from a stranger. Like the amount of anxiety buying weed from some sort of shady dealer. I don't know why, but this is where my mind always goes. I am convinced that every single person is an undercover cop. That's like where my mind goes. And I'm like super alert and analyzing. And I watch people's movements. Oh goodness. The amount of trip. So my dad, confiscating my weed. Now suddenly he has weed, which he never would have been able to get by himself. And as consciousness, as the pilot, right? Of course it makes sense that he's going to help himself. Exactly. Just so straight for me, the importance of a little splash of water. The dad said, smoke as much weed as you want, just don't touch a cigarette. So I did both. Oh no, not the cigarettes. Pilot shit, it's a trip. I'm happy that you're having a good one. I want a mushroom trip. I've been taking a little bit more mushrooms these days, actually. I've been called to as well. It's been quite an experience. Everyone, please manifest a mushroom troop for my poet boy. I'm watching Cable venture into a forest, seeing these beautiful little blue bruising mushrooms growing out of the ground. He consumes them. Cable is like, Mel, that's definitely not how it's gonna happen. Dude, I'm manifesting, oh, it doesn't you can be in a concrete jungle as well. They might grow from the hands of a interesting person. Sending you love, dude. For a lot of churchgoers, baptism is a way to differentiate true believers from weekend pew sitters and Easter Sunday religious people. Yeah, it's again a us versus them thing, right? Like trying to feel distinguished, trying to feel you are the one in control. Right? Oh yeah, I was in control enough to get myself baptized. Why weren't you in control enough to get baptized? Right? And there's this whole like cult thing with it as well, where they ask you when you've been baptized, and not knowing the exact date and year and age you were when you got baptized is also like kind of blasphemous. Like I had this well, my grandma talked at me this conversation about how someone, one of her, church community goers, asks her when she was baptized, and the shade that she threw at my grandma for not knowing the exact year. And like I'm just listening to drama, high school drama, right? High school pompous, I'm better than you, I'm more popular than you in this community drama. And I'm like, that sounds great, grandma. That sounds like so much fun. Sounds like a fantastic community to be a part of. I hear you. And she keeps complaining. So, same cable. I'm thinking of growing to the mush soon. Yeah, I mean, portobello mushrooms, some oyster mushrooms. They grow really easily, even. For Melt, I'm sorry for your family's weed gaslighting. No, it's okay. I feel if everything wasn't exactly the way it was, I wouldn't be exactly the way I am. I had to learn not to trust my family in order to learn to trust myself. If you don't get the dip, you're gonna burn in hell. Exactly. You have to be wet, at least at one point in your life, so that you have like that layer of water over you, so that if you're gonna go to hell, it's gonna evaporate and then the steam is gonna shoot you up into heaven or something. I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm sorry. I feel like this is probably like what they would consider blaspheming. But in that case, you should totally do that. So I became ordained and take a shower. I'm good. I think you have something else doing the splashings. I know. I'm sorry. It's a bad joke. I don't mean to be insensitive. I think I did the same things. I think it's okay. It's a lot of symbolism that is beyond me. It's being washed clean of all of your sins and then coming out of the water as a new being, being rebirthed, right? Under the Savior. It's kind of contrived. And my favorite depiction of that is this movie that I don't actually recommend you watch. It's a little bit much, right? From the start of the movie, you feel like something is wrong. Something is not right. Something is very concerning. Something is dangerous. Something is unsettling. That's the whole movie. As you start, like they don't miss a beat. Right from the start, you get this eerie sense. And the movie is called The Dark Song, and it's about this woman who basically gets a person who's really into occult magic to help her with this ritual in order to do something, right? And then if you go through this whole ritual, you get a wish from some sort of divine being, but you have to have a very strong anchor into your emotionality. And then there's a scene where she had lied to him. And in order to continue the rituals that they're busy with, and it's not like disgusting rituals, it's just like concerning. Like, fortunately, I was like, the whole movie sets you up that things are going to be disgusting, but they don't get there, fortunately. They get eerie, but they don't get disgusting in the point of like, this is an absolute atrocity to my eyeballs right now. Anyway, then there's the scene where she had lied to him And during that whole experience, that's a no-no. You can't lie when you're playing with occult magic or whatever. And in order to right this wrong, she has to be rebirthed into this experience. And then they go through this process of baptizing. And then it's like dip one, dip two, dip three. And then he holds her there, drowns her in the bathtub, then drags her unconscious, technically dead, no longer moving body out of the bathtub, does CPR. She comes back to life, puking the water out that she had swallowed. And then she's actually rebirthed, right? She died, and now she got resurrected with CPR, and now she's alive again. And I was like, shit, right? I'm gonna ask Christians, and I have actually asked my dad that, and he believes that's evil. He believes it's evil to do it that way. And I'm like, well, technically, in my mind, that's the only right way to do it. If you're gonna go through this process of believing yourself to be rebirthed under this new guise, then you need to die, actually. I mean, CPR directly after you drown is pretty likely. I feel like there's like a 99% chance that you're gonna come back to life. But if you're a real believer, if you're a real believer, you're gonna have to do it. That's insane. That's so insane. But and it's like metaphorical, right? That's like what they're trying to get at. And when you go through that process, when you make it that visceral, it shows you the absolute absurdity of what is actually being considered and what the implications of this type of thinking is. Mm-hmm. There we go. Had an interruption for a moment there. Bible says women can't preach. Yes, true. Especially to their husbands and should shut up and sit in the corner. That's true. There's an actual line in the Bible that straight up goes, don't. It's like, women, you that's like the gist of the freaking passage. And I'm like, yeah, you know, if this is the word of God, I don't know if I want to believe in that God. Okay, well, you are the mushroom and the mushroom is you. All of us are interconnected like the mycelium is to itself. The letter Paul wrote to the church in Corinthian was meant only for those women at that time. But in true Christian tradition, evil men get a hold of it and decided to apply it to all women. It's the limitation of dogma and indoctrination, right? And when you have a book that should be considered truth, irrefutable truth, word of God, that is going to set us up for some weirdness, unfortunately, when it comes to how we consider. 50 is getting onto my lap. Yeah, is that comfy? Phil, be healed, the problems restored, health. Lorraine, are you being blessed right now? Thank you for blessing us, dear friend. Thank you so much. Bless you too. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Love you, love you. Thank you for blessing us. There's a catch. Joy, I think evil men got a hold. Oh, yeah, that unfortunately happened. I don't even think it's evil necessarily, as just as much as it's power hungry. And being power hungry leads to you acting evilly, right? I think that's the way I like to think of it, at least. At least in that way, it's easier. It's a little bit more direct than just, oh, they're evil. No, they're power hungry, and power hungry people will do whatever they need to do to continue being in power, to continue ensuring nobody else gets power, and that leads to evil things, right? Because you're fighting the nature of reality, and that's evil. That's missing the mark, right? Can you not, please? Please? There's another doggo coming close. Can you stop? Stop, puppy. Stop it. Stop it. Like there's another dog just walking up to me. And now she's like losing her mind. The irritability. And you know, I know she's a teacher. I know that this is a teaching. She's like teaching me how to be less irritable. But it's still, I still get irritated, which means I'm still not learning the lesson. Right? So I keep getting taught the same lesson over and over again. I'm a bad student sometimes. Fine. Fine, Miss Moon. Miss Moon is like staring me down right now. She's being like, bro, you need to pay, you need to listen. I'm listening. I'm listening. Stop. The goodness of the wild oat essence to help you with your path. Love is true. Thank you. Please do reach out. Hey, Nancy, it's nice having you. You're still here? We are. A little bit longer stream. Chriswell. Chriswell is here too. Hey, Chriswell. Sending you lovin's. It's nice having you. What is this movie? The Dark what? The Dark Song. I want to watch it. Yeah, The Dark Song. It's still a beautiful movie, but it's beautiful in hindsight a lot more than it's beautiful in the moment. It's highly concerning in the moment. Ceaselessly highly concerning. Right. And I even, as I started watching the movie, had such a visceral emotional response, like my spirit felt attacked, that I wrote down, I am protected. And the M in I am protected, I made the Dega symbol, the symbol of transforming dark into light. So yeah, maybe do that as well, Zana, when you watch it. Guys, my New York City grocery store has frozen cheesesteak meat in New York. I'm happily cooking up a steak sandwich right now. That sounds so nice. Is cheesesteak meat not a thing in New York usually? And now it is? I'm happy for you in that case. Getting some novelty of the food we eat really is valuable. Peppy Popper, stand down, hall monitor. That's what I tell my little dog when he's this way. I mean, in a weird way, like as soon as I again found some acceptance, as soon as I calmed the passenger down, a certain calm came over her as well. And then I realized that that's the lesson she's teaching me. And I'm like, yeah, fine. Okay, fine. I'm looking at the shadows that the moon is casting. Shell saying, I'll join in. I hope Lorraine's finances are restored, but also I hope that if they're not restored, she will be well and happy. I hope Lorraine finds that there is a beautiful experience to be had, a much more beautiful experience to be had, just in being. Let's see what card we pulled today. Ooh! Yeah, I feel like this is probably the best card we could have pulled, taking today's stream in consideration. Especially this pilot and passenger perspective. I'm gonna see if I can get more light to be cast onto my body. Just so I can show you friends this card a little bit better. You see that? I'm gonna have to probably do it like this. There we go. Rainbow DNA. Card number 42. This is the perfect card right now. Every single one of us, dear friends, we're those strands right now. Conscious evolutions, right? These streams are conscious evolutions. We are consciously evolving right now to the point that our DNA is expressing for that reality. I'm gonna do this so I can actually read my thanks. The fact that I have a slab of technology that has a light attached to it, it's kind of absurd, but it makes me happy. Rainbow. Okay, so you're right. I was just like, oh, the conscious evolution thing. So I did unironically actually forget, but I had to remember this way. That's the actual core meaning of this card. That's, oh my. Like, you friends watch me when I pull the cards, right? Like, does it look like I'm faking it? That's the thing that I wonder. Does it look like I'm actually faking these card pulls? Because this is almost too much for me to handle sometimes. The fact that we did it back to back, we did it yesterday as well with the whole surrender thing. I didn't write conscious evolution on the Garrick though. Yesterday I wrote acceptance on the Garrick itself. Okay. Human DNA uses the phi ratio to form the wave that spins our genetic codes. Scientists seeking to unravel the mystery of these codes observe a mass, like 93%, of unexpressed DNA within the traditional double helix. Labeled by some as junk DNA, this additional information epitomizes our highest potential as yet unexpressed. In most humans, only about 3% of this code is currently switched on. By activating these dormant genes, we find the gateway to an infinite source of evolutionary wisdom. In other words, and think about this, your DNA and the process of getting you here, right? If we're gonna believe that evolution is a real thing, right? Right? All of your experience as that evolving consciousness, as that evolving pilot finding itself in different passengers, right? From single-celled organisms up the whole chain until you find yourself as a human being, all of that information remains. It is evolutionary wisdom. Decoding and activating this full spectrum of insight and understanding creates a window of possibility that corresponds to the emerging field of conscious evolution. Part of that process is learning the dynamics through which evolution does its transformational work. Through exploration of those dynamics, we can intentionally and wisely apply them to transform ourselves and our world. Visualize yourself spinning within this beautiful rainbow DNA, activating your potential, drawing upon the potential, drawing upon the potent emotions of love and compassion to stimulate the harmonics of your heart and speed your pace of evolution. Yes, that's what we're doing every day. Draw upon the potent emotions of love and compassion to stimulate the harmonics of your heart and speed your pace of evolution. Each time you act from your heart, you contribute to the intentional conscious evolution of humankind and the healing of Mother Earth. What a trip. What a trip this life is. Hot damn. We haven't pulled this card in a while. Consciously evolving. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of showing up. It's a lot of focus and presence. Noticing how things change other things, how things influence. Growing. Realizing that you're the one in control. Accepting that you're the one in control. And then from that control, choosing to consciously evolve. My mind is being really drawn to figuring out what techniques exist right now to consciously evolve. And I'm like, our DNA, both pilot and passenger, or no? Yes, shell, yes, exactly, right? Because passenger, as in our DNA carries on, right? Like if we have children, part of our DNA now carries on with them, right? Using their body as like being a passenger to their body. But also, it piloted literally the expression of their selves, right? Like the way my fingers look right now is because of my DNA, right? Literally the way my teeth formed is because of my DNA. Piloting this whole thing, right? Chili cheesesteaks are a Philly thing, melt where I'm from, almost impossible to find. even shitty cheesesteak outside of Philly. I'm happy to hear that you're having a good time tasting that taste of nostalgia, man. I'll join. Thank you again, Shell, for the blessings. Wow, thanks. Statistically speaking, he meant 87%. You are all my DNA. Thank you, dear friends, for spending this time with me, for choosing to consciously evolve. Little by little, day by day, moment by moment, as we show up for love, we speed up our pace to evolve. I'm excited. I'm hopeful for our future, knowing that some people like you exist. I have heard someone compare DNA to a piano. I like that. Little notes getting played, right? And then methylization of our DNA in that case would probably be the different notes that we play, right? Like we know through yoga, you cannot change your actual DNA to some extent, but you can almost easily change the methylization of your DNA. So as you have these helixes and they have these, basically like informational bits, you can, as a methyl group, bond to the outside of that DNA helix. And wherever it bonds to one of those little informational cells, it can activate or deactivate that genome expression. All right, that's epigenetics. Realizing that you have these factors, nature, environment, and you being your own environment ultimately, that contribute to the way your DNA methylates or demethylates. And we know through practices like yoga, through practices like meditation, you can actually demethylate your DNA, which is a good thing. Play your little piano, and I'll see you again soon. Tomorrow. Let me see. Have the most beautifulest day, everyone. I love you all so, so very, very superest, duperest. Holy cow, dearly melt. And all of you, oh, so wonderfully, fantastically amazing friends. As we love you. Thank you, friends, for joining me, for spending some of your time, for piloting your passenger into this moment so that we can experience it. See you again soon, tomorrow. Goodbye. I love you.